Hello again, I'm Pete Torriello.
And I'm Maureen Torriello.
And it's time for the Sonic Boomers podcast. Recently, some kids in our neighborhood set up a lemonade stand, right?
Yes, they did.
And you said to me, I didn't know people even did that anymore. Mm-hmm. And you and I got into a discussion as to what did we do as youngsters to raise money.
Right.
And I said, I didn't do a darn thing because I was a spoiled only child.
Yep.
So I would say what I wanted, and I get it. And,
Lucky you.
And I will not apologize for it.
I'm not asking you to.
Now, there were times that my mom did say no. And then I would throw a temper tantrum, and I'd wind up getting it.
Oh, good for you. Now, did you get an allowance?
I think that was an on-off kind of thing, that there were times that I did, times that I didn't. I did get tooth fairy money, so I would go in my bedroom and knock my teeth out and put them under. No, but I did get tooth fairy money.
Yeah.
But no, I never did a lemonade stand or anything like that because I didn't have a newspaper route. I didn't have to do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Mom and Dad provided it. And yeah, there were times that my mom would say, not this week, Peter.
Right.
The mortgage is due. That $35 mortgage payment that we found was due. And she would say, the mortgage is due this week, Peter. Don't ask me for nothing.
Right.
Or something a little more spicy than that. But that was
cleaned it up for
that was kind of the gist of it, though.
Now, for me, I mean, my parents, I'm thinking they had to have footed some of the bills because what we did didn't earn us a lot of money. Mm-hmm. But if we wanted to do, something on our own, if we wanted to, say, go to the movies or our big thing was to go to the roller rink or the ice skating rink, we pretty much earned our own keep on that. And we did a variety of things. We were very creative. I mean, we did the Kool-Aid stand. And
how much did you charge?
I think it was 5 cents a glass or 10 cents a glass.
Do we know what the kids in the neighborhood here were charging?
I don't know.
A few weeks ago?
I don't know.
I'd be curious.
Probably $1 or something.
Yeah.
But don't
I've been
forget
meaning to talk to you about that $14 glass of lemonade that
well, I mean, don't forget, a packet of Kool-Aid powder was a nickel. So for us to sell it for 5 cents a glass or 10 cents a glass, if we sold one glass, we recouped our losses.
Well,
that's
good. That's good business.
It was very good business. And what was even better business was we found, how they say in real estate, location, location, location.
Oh, yeah.
Well, our house, the backyard, would back up against Underhill Field, which is where Columbia High School had all their sporting events. They had their baseball, they had football, they had all their sporting things took place there, and their practices. So we found that if we made a lemonade or Kool-Aid stand outside the gate to Underhill Field, at the end of the practice of the football team, those guys came out and they were thirsty. Mm-hmm. They had sweated. They were dying for a drink. They would plunk down $1, $5, and take the whole pitcher. So we found location was key.
You guys cleaned up then.
We did.
Wow.
We absolutely did. But that was, just sometimes we did that. We didn't do that all the time. Another time I remember, we used to make potholders. Some of you may remember those looms with the loops, and you stretched them and you wove potholders it was like a crafty kind of thing. And we went door to door selling potholders.
Now, did you ever put on a show for money?
Well, that was, I'm getting to that.
Okay.
Then, in the summertime, we quite often did do a show or a carnival. Sometimes we did a carnival.
All right. Now, what did you do in a carnival? Because when you're having a carnival, you got to have rides and stuff.
Well, we took care
You
of
made
that.
your own rides.
We kind of did. Well, I had a swing set. So, we put them on and push them really high. I remember the one time my Aunt Kay and Uncle Joe, they owned a laundry. And I guess the soap powder or whatever that they used in laundry came in these big cardboard barrels with like a metal top and bottom on them. And they would give them to my mom because she used them for storing clothes and storage and stuff. So we had one of those in the yard, and we would put somebody inside the barrel and roll them around. But more when we did the carnival, it was
It's like
more
something out of the Little Rascals.
It kind
with
of
the- with the
was. It
fresh
kind
air-
of was.
the fresh air taxi cab.
Yeah, but we but more than the rides, where we would do things like set up games, knock over the bottle or darts and throw a dart and hit the bullseye or things like that we would come up with. And we didn't get a lot of people, but there were always some kids from the neighborhood that were not in our immediate circle, and they would come and they'd bring their nickels and dimes, and it was a fun day. And the preparation was as much fun as anything.
Now, did you charge a flat fee for everything, or did you charge per, if you want this, it's 10 cents. If you want this, it's 2 cents.
It was, everything was separate
Okay.
for the carnival.
Yeah.
Now, when we did a show, which we did more often than not, it was like took a whole summer. Like we would take maybe a whole month, and we would rehearse every day, and we would learn our lines, and we'd come up with costumes and scenery. And I mean, we really went nuts with it. Our curtain was a bedspread on the clothesline, and it was like well, and then when my neighbor Marlene got a garage with a door, then we used the inside of the garage as our stage, and then we would pull down the door in between scenes, and then we would have an intermission, and we would go out and sell cookies and Kool-Aid. And that was on top of your admission fee.
Okay, now what kind of a show did I get from my hard-earned admission fee?
Well, the one year we did Heidi, and we and if you remember in the story Heidi, I think it's Clara, is like a girl she's in a wheelchair. Mm-hmm. Now, we didn't have any way to do a wheelchair, so we altered the text of the play just a wee bit.
Yeah.
And there's one part where I guess Clara gets up and tries to walk, and her wheelchair goes over the cliff because Heidi's in the mountains with her grandfather. And the line is, "Oh no, Grandpa, Heidi's wheelchair has gone over the cliff." Well, we didn't have a wheelchair, so we changed to her crutches. She dropped her crutches and
Over the cliff.
They fell off the cliff. But we were creative.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
fun. We came up, like I said, we did costumes, we did makeup. I mean, we did the whole gamut, and it kept us busy every day for like the whole summer. And like we
Oh,
would
look,
plan it for.
her wheelchair, her wheelbarrow went over the.
But we would plan it, and like say by August, that was what we were working towards for the whole summer. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we did a show that was like a talent show, and we would do different things like come out and dance and sing and tell jokes or whatever. I remember my little brother Drew. He was a lot younger than there was 10 years difference between him and I. Mm-hmm. So he was still kind of like a toddler when we were doing some of this, and he would have like talk baby talk or whatever. And there was a commercial on TV. I think it was for Lucky Strike cigarettes, and it was like, "I'd rather fight than switch."
Yeah, I remember that.
And I think they had like somebody with a black,
With a black
eye
eye.
or something. Well, we taught baby Drew to say, "Fight and sweet." And we made a black eye on him. And we brought him out. "Drew, what would you rather do?" "I'd rather fight and sweet." And that was his talent.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But the main thing is it didn't cost anything, and the second thing is it kept us busy and engaged, and we weren't getting into trouble.
That might have been the more important part.
Yeah.
That you were kept busy. You had something to do. Mm-hmm. And the money part would be, yeah, right, if we made a few cents off it, okay.
Right. The other thing that we did for money was return empty bottles to the store.
I remember kids in our neighborhood.
A lot of soda bottles had deposits on them back in the day. And if you brought it back, you'd get 2 cents for the little bottles. I think a nickel for the big bottles. I don't know. But I know there was one day in particular where we wanted to go to the movies. And between the 3 or 4 of us, we didn't have enough. We pulled all our money together, and it was like we were going to need another couple bucks to make it happen. So our neighbor across the street said, "Well, I've got a bunch of bottles down in my basement. If you want to return them, you can have the money from them." Well, we went down her basement, and she had cases and cases of empty Pepsi bottles. And we loaded up wagons, and we went to the store. And we brought them in, and they were after a while, they were "We can't take anywhere. We don't have room for this." We made 3 or 4 trips back and forth.
What was it, 2 cents a bottle or something?
Like I said, the small individual bottles, I think were 2 cents. But if you had they didn't have 2-liter bottles in those days, but the bigger bottles that you would get, I think they were maybe 5 cents. Maybe 10 cents. I don't know. I really don't remember anymore. But between us, we made these trips back and forth, and we got enough to go to the movies that day.
I remember in Madison Park here, when I was growing up, there was a guy down the street. I think it was maybe a teenager by this time, Cliff Harwin. Because I went to school with his sister, Michelle.
Okay.
And I remember Cliff collected bottles, and he would come to our house and knock on the door and ask my mom if we had bottles. And I remember we used to get Hoffman soda, and my folks would keep the bottles on the porch, on the windowsill in the back of the porch, and Cliff would come and take the bottles because my folks didn't want to be bothered with deposit and return and all that. Right. Cliff would come and get the bottles, as I recall.
And just he could pocket the money then for whatever he got. Yeah, that's a good deal. So we had a lot of different ways that we earned our keep. Like I said, I did get an allowance, but get this, it was $1.50 every 2 weeks.
So you had to unionize. You should have unionized.
Well, with 3 kids, we were we were glad to get anything, and then we would go to my grandparents on Sunday, and my grandfather would say he would give us what he called Sunday money. It was a quarter, and he'd give each one of us a quarter. So we would have $1.75.
I think. And I'm just grabbing at straws here, but when I did have an allowance, I think it was about $5 a week.
See, you were spoiled. You were spoiled.
It was good to be Petey.
I guess so.
It was good to be an only child.
Now, when I was in high school, it was different. I babysat then and had legitimate money, but I got $1 an hour and $2 an hour after midnight. And that was, that was more like real money at the time. And quite often I would go babysitting on a Saturday, and then the next week we would go shopping and spend the money. I made a lot of my own clothes, and I could buy fabric and a pattern and all the things that I needed for the $5 that I would usually get babysitting, and I'd have an outfit. So it was good all the way around.
I think sometimes that it was great being an only child because I got spoiled.
Yeah.
I've alluded to on previous podcasts that even at Christmas time, I got spoiled because you didn't come to me at Christmas time and fob off one gift as Christmas and birthday, because my birthday is on the 27th.
Right.
But I always got, here's something for Christmas, Peter, and here's something for your birthday. Because if you brought me one present, I would say, go back. No, I didn't.
I would hope not.
I'm just being funny. Although people that know me say, yeah, I can see him doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I usually got 2 gifts.
Well, that's good for you.
So that's the good part about being an only child. The bad part of it is it can be lonely. Mm-hmm. It can be lonely. Now, if I had a brother who was anything like me, I'd probably hate the guy. You know?
You'd be fighting all the time.
Be fighting all the time over stuff.
But yeah, I mean, the good thing was, being in a neighborhood full of kids. I had my sister and brother, and there was always somebody around to play with, and we made our own fun, and we were kind of brought up, and everybody in my neighborhood was about in the same boat economically or whatever, and we just knew better. Like, you don't ask for stuff, you figure it out yourself. And you only ask when there's no other option. Like, otherwise you just figure out what you're going to do, and you made your plans. And I think we were kind of better for it in the long run, because we learned to be self-reliant. We learned to be independent. And, I think it was a good way to be.
I think it was, because as much fun as it was to be spoiled rotten, you are correct. I didn't learn to be self-sufficient until much later. Mm-hmm. And when I didn't get what I wanted, I would get really upset and throw little tantrums, and, I would be a handful. Never occurred to me, well, Peter, get up off your butt and earn some money and go get it yourself.
Right. And we even did things like raking leaves.
Yeah.
I don't remember snow shoveling too much. We shoveled our own houses, but I don't think we did the neighbors. I mean, that was enough to get our own stuff done. But we did good things for other people, and that was part of it too. Was learning a air of service, of making your community better, of helping people. It was a lot of good lessons there.
Well, it's never too late to do what you should have done. And so what I'm going to do this summer is, you ready?
You're going to put on a show.
This is gold. This is gold. I'm going to have a lemonade stand out in front of the house this summer.
Okay.
But I'm going to be selling hard lemonade. Okay.
Without a liquor license.
Okay, I'm going to be selling hard lemonade, and I'm going to have an app. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
It's going to be called the Lemon App. Get it? Lemonade?
Lemon
App. And you can order your hard lemonade on the Lemon App.
Oh, you're brilliant.
See? Or I could even set up like an iced tea stand. And I'll sell Long Island iced tea.
Yeah.
That's all.
There you go.
Don't drink too much of this tea. Get it? I can't wink. I never could wink.
So we asked some of our listeners to weigh in on what they did. And I was quite surprised because, like I said, I grew up in a middle-class neighborhood, and everybody was kind of in the same boat. And we all, did a lot to earn our money. But I was quite surprised at how many of our listeners had experiences a little closer to yours, where their parents just kind of forked over the dough.
Well, wait a minute. You grew up in Maplewood. Mm-hmm. Isn't Maplewood kind of affluent?
Yeah.
Because I know when you and I were dating, and my dad knew that you were from Maplewood, he was like, oh, maybe he's marrying into money. Like,
little did he know.
Little did he know. Little did I know.
But, so we quizzed our listeners and challenged them to write in. And here's a couple of the responses that we had. Now, Mary, she said she did have an allowance and she also had a paper route. And Michelle, she said, we had chores to do, paid or not. They just had to be done.
Yeah.
But they got cash handed over if they needed to go shopping.
We have Carol. Carol said, we never had allowances. My parents were always of the mindset that if we needed something, we should just ask them. That worked well, but we also set up lemonade stands quite often and used our earnings to walk to Dairy Queen or to the candy store at night. There's something dating you right there. Walking anywhere at night these days. By our teenage years, my two sisters and I all had jobs and paid for our fashion choices and teenage outings. Ah, the good life, says Carol.
That was the other thing, too. If we went to the store for my mom, she'd give us a little bit extra to go to the candy store and buy a candy bar or get a 10-cent Coke at the counter. So that was like another little bit of money that we would get along the way. Now, Trish, she said, we asked our folks when we needed something or were going to the mall. But for my kids, I got tired of wheedling to get chores done, so I devised this. Now, she's brilliant. Sunday morning, a list of the week's chores were on the fridge along with the dollar amount for each, like vacuuming, $2, etc. Kids signed up for what they wanted to do, so they determined their allowance for the week. Any job not signed up for by Friday evening was community property, and everyone had to pitch in and get it done. No money for that. Taught them that they could earn what they needed and determine their own spending ability. Also taught them that leaving it for the last minute did not mean Mom and Dad would do it.
Now, when we were raising our three, didn't we do that for a while?
We did that for a while. Like I started allocating a dollar amount to some of the chores.
And then they tried to unionize the three of them. You know, there's three of us here. There's strength in numbers. We ought to form a union. We'll picket the house.
No, but I think that what I didn't factor into it, which I like what Trish did, was that at the end, anything not done was done anyway, and you didn't get paid for it.
And now you're not getting paid for it.
I like that aspect of it. I wish I had thought of that. I wish I knew Trish back then. That would have been a really good one. But we did do the pay per chore thing.
Yeah, I thought we did.
And, we allocated a higher amount to things that you and I didn't feel like doing, like cleaning out the pantry or something. That would be like a $5 one, you know, versus dusting, maybe $1.
Clean the toilet. Well, that's going to be $7 because that's hazard pay. That's toxicological waste. I get $7 for that.
But I think that I really like that idea. And Vicky said when she was 15, she got to the point where she didn't want to use the shampoo her mom bought for all the kids. She wanted Silkience because it smelled good, and I thought it would give me luxurious hair. Her mother told her that she'd pay for the basics, but if you want fancy shampoo, you got to work for the extras. So she babysat for $1 an hour, and through that she bought herself a Schwinn Continental 10-speed bike.
Nice.
A stereo for her room, albums, and her fancy shampoo.
Yeah.
And she also
no Suave for this girl.
Nope. And she also got an allowance, which in 1975 was minimal, but it made her extremely proud of her purchases because she did it herself all on her own.
And finally, Frank says you had a newspaper route.
Yeah. And it's interesting. All the people that responded were women except for Frank.
Yeah.
So what did you guys do?
Why did we have to do anything? We had you to do it for us.
Oh, no. You're going to get yourself a deep doo-doo on that one.
I know. I'm just goofing around.
I know. But at any rate, I thought it was an interesting snapshot into our past and into the past of some of our listeners and our followers. And
because I did post on the Madison Park page and said that, we were sorry. We didn't know that you were out there selling. And next time, if we know, we'll come out there and we'll buy some lemonade.
Yeah, always, when you see a kid out there, always buy
Always
something.
buy, just like Girl Scout cookies.
Oh, I know.
Always buy the Girl Scout cookies. Come
and the
on.
candy bars. And,
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, even if you just get one, I mean,
Yeah.
just something to help the kid out,
yeah, yeah. Because you get that at work a lot. My kids in Cub Scouts or Girl Scouts are selling this, that, and the other thing. And we always bought.
I know.
Not to mention we enjoy the cookies. So.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, it is time for Baby Boomer Trivia Quiz.
Yeah.
And I have a good question for you, and I think you may get this one.
Okay.
Are you ready? Mm-hmm. Okay, here is your question. It is from the RPM category,
Okay.
so it's a music question. What initial hit did Barry Manilow change the title of to avoid confusion on a concurrent Looking Glass tune of 1974?
Oh, gosh.
Your time begins now.
I can't remember back then.
What initial hit did Barry Manilow change the title of to avoid confusion with a concurrent Looking Glass tune of 1974?
I don't know.
Okay, Looking Glass was Brandy, you're
Right,
a fine
okay.
girl. Well, the Barry Manilow song
Mandy?
was Mandy.
Oh, okay.
He changed the name to Mandy.
D. Okay.
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 All right, go ahead, hit me.
All right. I've got two, so let me give you this first one, and then we'll see.
Okay.
This is from publishing, and I never thought about this. Where did Perry Mason practice law?
Where did Perry Mason practice law? In a courtroom.
It actually was Los Angeles.
Really?
And I never thought about a location
No
or
idea.
But that's where it was, and I thought that was interesting. I hadn't really thought
I
about
had
that.
no clue.
The other one that I was thinking of was at RPM, and it was what 1982 Willie Nelson Song of the Year was recorded by Elvis Presley 10 years earlier.
Start the clock again. Willie Nelson. It was recorded by Elvis?
10 years
10 years
earlier to
earlier.
hit Billy Nelson's hit with it.
Wow.
You were always on my mind.
Really?
I didn't know Elvis did that.
Yeah, he did. The later Elvis. The later Elvis, I think it was.
Well, yeah, because
the
10 years earlier.
The fat Elvis.
Well, 10 years earlier, Willie Nelson's was in 1982, so 10 years earlier would have been 72.
Yeah.
So it was Elvis, like
Yeah,
you
that
said,
was the fat Vegas.
Vegas Elvis. But again, I thought that was interesting. I didn't realize that Elvis had done that.
Wow.
Yeah, learn something new
I'm
every
0 for
day.
2. I'm
Yeah.
0 for 2. Oh, well. And you were 0 for 1. So
Yeah.
Not
Not a good day. Is
not
there
a good
another
day
one I
for
can
us.
redeem myself with? Or
You
not?
know what? Let's try it. Let's try it. We have about 2 minutes left on the show because we usually try to do these in a half hour. So
Okay.
we've got a little bit
Well-
of time left. Whoa, it's out of control. Here we go. Okay. What was the name of the day that honorary Mouseketeers were created on the Mickey Mouse Club? What was the name of the day that honorary Mouseketeers were created on the Mickey Mouse Club?
Now, are you talking like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or was there a special name?
They had a special name for the day.
Okay. Honorary Mouseketeers. On a Mouseca Monday?
boy, that failed buzzer's getting a workout today.
Yeah.
No, it was actually called Talent Roundup Day.
Oh,
I don't remember that. And I used to watch the Mickey Mouse Club.
Yeah, I did too.
I don't remember Talent Roundup Day.
I don't know.
Do you remember the hosts of the Mickey Mouse Club? The two guys?
Jimmy and Roy.
Jimmy and Roy. Jimmy Dodd and Roy, I'm thinking Neil, but I'm not sure.
I don't know. I don't remember.
It was
the
always
last
Jimmy
name.
Dodd in my head, but
Okay.
Roy was always Roy, the heavy bald guy.
Yeah,
That was it.
that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, Annette for
Yeah,
the cello.
Yeah. Okay, is that it?
I think that's it.
All right, that's going to do it for the Sonic Boomers then for this week. We want to thank you for listening, and we invite you to join us again for the next edition of the Sonic Boomers podcast. So be watching and listening for it. Till then, I'm Pete Torriello.
And I'm Maureen Torriello.
Now go out and make some noise.